It begins as such stories often do, with a moment so ordinary that it carries no warning. And yet on May 28th of 2016, the air within the Cincinnati Zoo would bear witness to a sequence of events that would travel far beyond its walls. Families wandered beneath the mild sun, children pressed close to the railings with eager curiosity of youth, and among them moved a boy whose small frame and restless spirit would soon place him at the center of a storm. There is in every public place an assumption of order, a belief that barriers set before us will remain firm and that distance between danger and safety is well understood. Yet such beliefs are often no more than quiet agreements, upheld only so long as nothing tests them. The boy had spoken, it is said, of a desire to go where he should not. It was a passing remark that might have been dismissed as childish fancy. But curiosity, once stirred, has a habit of seeking its own path, and in a matter of moments, he had crossed a low fence, slipped through some brush, and fallen a distance that no one had anticipated. The water below received him with harsh certainty, and the cries of those who witnessed it rose at once in a chorus of alarm. But it is here that the scene shifts from the gentle rhythm of an afternoon in the sharp sun to the unsteady pace of a crisis, where time appears to stretch and contract all at once. Within that enclosure lived the massive Harambe. It was a creature of considerable strength and presence, whose life had already been marked by trials that few among the watching crowd could have imagined. He was born in 1999. He entered the world under human care, and at a tender age, he endured a calamity that claimed the lives of his mother and his siblings. Such early losses, though rarely spoken of in the language of emotion, can leave their mark nonetheless, even on an animal. And he was raised thereafter within the confines of structured care, moved from place to place, and in 2014 he arrived in Cincinnati, where he was to grow into the role expected of him. Observers would note his intelligence and his awareness and his quiet force of his being, though they could only ever glimpse a portion of the life he had lived behind the glass and the barriers. But when the boy fell, Harambe approached. Of course, this is terrifying. Imagine this as being your child, and there's an enormous silverback gorilla approaching him. There's no sense in softening the tension of that approach. It was watched by many, it was recorded by some, and it was interpreted by pretty much everyone who saw it. He moved with curiosity, then with a kind of agitation stirred not only by the presence of the child, but by the rising panic of the crowd above them. Voices echoed sharp and unceasing, and in such an environment, even the calmest creature might be unsettled. Harambe lifted the boy. He carried him through the shallow water, and at moments, he appeared to steady him, while at others he moved with a force that caused visible alarm. Zoo handlers he was not friendly to. It was not a gentle scene, nor was it an immediately violent one, but rather a shifting and uncertain encounter in which intent could not be clearly read. There are those who, upon viewing the footage, would later argue that Harambe displayed signs of protection, that his movements suggested a form of guarded curiosity rather than outright aggression. Others saw danger in every motion, pointing to the immense strength he possessed and the unpredictability inherent in such a situation, especially in personalities of silverback gorillas. Yet what must be understood is that those tasked with decisions did not have the luxury of prolonged debates. They stood at the edge of an unfolding moment, aware that a single miscalculation could turn uncertainty into tragedy. It is easy in the comfort of distance to assign clarity where none existed in the moment. The decision when it came was swift and irrevocable. A tranquilizer, though often imagined as a gentle solution, requires some time to act. In those minutes, the risk could grow beyond control. A tranquilizer is also known to sometimes make animals very hungry and very angry before they're finally subdued. Harambe, a creature weighing hundreds of pounds and capable of immense force, stood beside a child who could not defend himself. The choice was made not in a reasonable response to harm already done, but in fear of what might occur next, what could happen. A single shot rang out, and with it, the life of Harambe came to an end. The boy was rescued, alive, and though he was shaken, he would recover. The cost of that survival, however, would not be so easily measured. What followed was not silence, but an eruption of voices that spread across the world with remarkable speed. And remember, this is 2016. Wasn't that long ago. The incident was shared about on social media. It was debated and transformed into something far larger than the moment itself. Some mourned Harambe as a victim of circumstance and a being who is placed in an impossible position by nothing more than human error. Others defended the actions that were taken, insisting that the preservation of the child's life must stand above all else. And then, in a turn that speaks much of the age in which it occurred, the event became a subject of humor, irony, relentless repetition, memes. Harambe's name, once given in quiet ceremony, became a refrain across the internet, spoken in tongues that ranged from sincere to absurd. In this curious transformation lies a reflection of how modern audiences grapple with discomfort. Rather than sit with the weight of what occurred, many turned it into something else entirely. A shared joke, a symbol detached from its origin, and yet beneath the noise and the laughter, the facts remain unchanged. A child crossed a boundary. He wasn't being watched by his mother. A powerful animal responded. A decision was made in seconds that would be examined for years. And though it all runs in a question that really has no answer, it touches upon responsibility and instinct and the fragile balance between human control and the natural world. How much can we control? It's tempting to seek a clear moral, to assign blame neatly and move on. But such simplicity does not do justice to the complexity of this event. The enclosure was designed with care, and yet it was not impenetrable by such a small child. The boy acted with the unguarded impulse of youth, yet that impulse carried grave consequences. Harambe acted according to his instincts shaped by his own life, yet those instincts unfolded with a setting that was never truly natural. And the keepers, faced with the moment of acute danger, chose the path they believed would save a life. Each thread, when examined alone, offered some measure of understanding, yet together they form a tapestry that resists easy judgment. In the end, what lingers is not merely the image of that day, but the uneasy awareness of how quickly control can falter. We build barriers and systems to separate ourselves from danger, and in doing so, we often convince ourselves that the separation is absolute. But the truth is far less certain. Boundaries hold, sure, until they don't. Safety persists until it's tested. And when those lines fail, the consequences are seldom confined to the moment in which they occur. In this story of Harambe becomes more than an isolated incident. It becomes a reminder that the spaces we create between ourselves and the world is never as fixed as we might wish them to be, and that the cost of forgetting this is measured often in lives. So I leave you with this question, one that resists a simple answer and invites reflection long after the telling is done. When faced with a moment where every choice carries a risk, do we judge the decision by the outcome it preserves, or by the life it takes to secure it? And remember, if you do enjoy stories like this, make sure you follow the History Happens Facebook page for more deep dives into history's most fascinating moments. And please subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Every subscriber helps. And you know how much I love hearing from you guys. So I do look forward to hearing your comments on this episode. as difficult as they might be. Thank you for watching.